So I'm screen sharing, recording, and live on Facebook now. All right, I'm just gonna get started with the introduction about kind of the lay of the land and how the workshop will go as people tune in and sign on. But yeah, my name's Maddie. I am the program director of Debris-Free Oceans. I've started so many virtual workshops and videos like that for people that have regularly been tuning in. It's me again, but really appreciate you guys coming out, and especially the panelists for taking the time to participate in this workshop. I think during these times of COVID, it's really important that we keep trying to stay connected with each other as much as possible, and do so with kind of positive workshops, which this one is really fun, really exciting. I know for me that with sustainability and self-care, I'm really good at the sustainability side of things, but I'm actually not that good at taking care of myself. So I'm really excited to learn from all the panelists about this. But there are definitely a lot of connections between both taking care of yourself and the planet, and so many actions we can take that benefit both. And there's simple things we can do from home that are kind of easy to attain, habits we can slowly develop. So I'm excited to learn. I hope you guys are too. We have a couple of different panelists today. Real quick before I jump into everyone, just some housekeeping. So as you can see, we are not in webinar mode. We choose to do kind of general Zoom mode because we want people to have their videos on if they're comfortable. Again, to feel like we're kind of out at an event, building a little more community. So that being said, please remain muted unless we're paused for questions, or if you don't want to be on video asking a question, you can put it in the chat. We'll be monitoring the chat as well. And after each panelist speaks, we can pause for questions if you have specific questions about for that panelist. And yeah, like I already mentioned, this is streaming live on Facebook for people tuning in there, and we're also going to record it and post it on IGTV. So if you're not comfortable, again, definitely turn off your camera if you want. So just an outline of how the event will go. I'll just briefly talk about Debris-Free Oceans and plastic pollution and kind of why we're here in the first place. And then we have Katrina from Lush Cosmetics. She's coming to us from California, their sustainability manager, and is going to talk a little bit about their sustainability initiatives, which there's a variety of them, and then also about their naked products that avoid packaging, and just kind of an inside scoop from an industry perspective, which we don't really always get. And then we have Newmans here. She's a Doterra wellness advocate, so Doterra essential oils. She's going to talk to us about the health benefits of using essential oils, and then also a variety of DIY at-home products that you can make, thereby avoiding plastic packaging for products that she tells us about. And then we have our own Sophia Mesa here. She is our Chef Andrews Scholar Director. So we have an internship scholarship program that she runs. And she's an awesome environmental and social activist, and she's going to give us a couple of tips and then resources for staying mentally well and avoiding burnout as an activist during these times and then beyond. And then finally, we have Julianne, a wonderful yoga and meditation instructor, who's just going to talk a bit about meditation and then lead us through a closing meditation. So a great lineup. I'm really excited. I'm gonna, again, start really quickly with some background about us before turning it over to the panelists. For those of us who do not know, Debris-Free Oceans, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, local based in Miami. And our mission is to eradicate marine debris through encouraging local communities to responsibly manage the life cycle of plastics and of waste. So one of our main initiatives is obviously our cleanups. We prioritize making them really fun and going out and cleaning up our coastlines by doing scuba cleanups or kayaking cleanups, kind of activities to get people that wouldn't necessarily sign up for a cleanup to come out and learn about it in a really fun situation and then be inspired to kind of take what they learned home. But we also do programs that tackle the problem from the source. So rather than reacting to the problem, cleaning up afterwards, we do a lot of education to encourage students to make some lifestyle changes that will reduce plastic waste and waste entering the environment. We also do sustainability consulting. So we work with businesses to switch to either reusables or backyard compostable takeaway items. So just kind of briefly again about the problem, why we're here, why we were started. Back in 2014, a paper came out that there was 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic in the ocean. And so this figure here shows the Milky Way galaxy because that is home to 400 billion stars. And that means that there's 13 times more plastic in the ocean than stars in the Milky Way galaxy. And this is from a paper published in 2014 using data collected earlier than that, and plastic production has increased, so likely greater at this time. And how is there this much plastic in the environment? Because like this beautiful diamond, plastics are forever. They are made from oil, actually, the byproducts of oil production. So they're made of these really tight, strong carbon-carbon bonds that are really resistant to degradation. And since they're synthetic and man-made, there's not really anything in the environment, no microorganisms that are built to break them down, either in the environment or in animal stomachs. So that's why you hear about animals kind of eating plastics, not being able to break them down, and then mistakenly thinking they are full and starving. And that kind of contrasts to this banana that we have on the slide that will break down and cycle back as nutrients to create more life. And just really fast, this is so brief. I have some linked studies in here. We're gonna send these slides out after the presentation that you guys can check out. A couple of the impacts of plastic pollution. A big one is they accelerate climate change since they're a byproduct of oil production. They've actually estimated that by 2050, plastics will make up 13% of the IPCC's global carbon budget. So they accelerate climate change. And then an obvious one is they harm animal life. Study found that about 700 species of marine life have been shown to be impacted by plastic pollution. And then they impact human health. Humans can consume microplastics. A study found that humans actually might ingest about a credit card's worth of microplastics every week. We can also take them in through the skin dermally, actually, if they're small enough, and we can even inhale them. And the studies, again, I linked here one from the Center for International Environmental Law, a really good review of how plastics impact humans. And then they also damage our local economies. People don't want to visit dirty beaches. So if we're a coastal community that has a really strong tourism economy, marine debris can be very damaging to that. So things we can do, there's so much. These are some of the kind of big main ones are switching to reusable items or ditching them totally. So like a straw, plastic straw, we don't need it, we can completely ditch it. Or if you're really attached to it, you can switch to a reusable straw or reusable bags, cups, cutlery. All of that will really stop the flow of plastics into the ocean if we can kind of collectively make these choices to avoid these products. However, there are so many materials in life that are packaged in single-use plastics that aren't really our choice in terms of what they're packaged in. Companies decide this. Yeah, 40% of single-use plastic is due to packaging. And so I included this figure on the right, or image, that shows a grocery store aisle of shampoos and lotions and soaps and all of our body care products that are packaged in plastic packaging. So what do we do here? This is where we start to look for creative solutions coming from eco-friendly companies, coming from learning how to use our own or create our own DIY body care products. This is kind of where we have to get a little bit more creative than just ditching the straw. And so that's what we're going to talk about today with our first two speakers. We're excited to have Katrina here from Lush. I included these figures here on the left just real quick. I keep saying figures because I'm used to being a marine biology scientist. These photos on the left that are from our original partnership with Lush. They gave us some grant money that allowed us to give out 1,000 zero waste toolkits to students. So we actually got to go and educate a bunch of students in Miami-Dade and provide them with a little toolkit so that after we gave them all this information, they actually had the tools they needed to start being a part of the change. And so we're excited to have Katrina, the sustainability manager of Lush, talk to us about their other awesome sustainability initiatives. And then with Megan, I pulled some pictures from our event last year. It was one of my favorites, even though it started to pour on us. It was still fantastic. We did a beach cleanup, and then we got these healthy kombucha bottles. And then she showed us how to make an essential oiled infused kombucha that's good for you. Then we cleaned the beach, and then we gathered and repurposed our kombucha bottle into a essential oil kitchen cleaner, which was, again, such an awesome event. So she's going to talk to us a little bit about other DIYs. And then we have Julianne from Within. I just also wanted to mention that she also instructs for Rise and Soul Shine, a yoga nonprofit group that we partner with a lot to do beach cleanup, yoga events, and fundraisers. And I didn't include Sophia in here because she's one of DFO's own. Just wanted to highlight our previous collaborations with all of our wonderful panelists and say thank you. And yeah, I'm excited to hear from all of you guys. Again, we'll start with Lush and with Megan about a little bit of the body care side. And then we'll switch over to Sophia and Julianne to talk a little bit more about mental health tools. So that was a little long, but I think I covered everything. It didn't take too long. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we'll start with hearing from Katrina.
Great. Thank you, Maddie. It's great to be here, and it's great to meet everyone virtually. I am just trying to figure out how to share my specific screen, but it won't work. So let me, application window. It was here a moment ago.
Sometimes it sneaks up to the top of the screen.
Yeah, let me, for the sake of time, I'll just do my entire screen and then I will pull up the PowerPoint deck. Can you see it?
Not yet.
Share. Weird, it worked before. Can you see it now?
Not yet.
Huh.
Let's see. I wonder if there's something I can do.
Apologies.
No, it's okay. Maybe if you started your video and then shared, that might help. I don't know.
Oh yeah, so I thought it was on. Let me try that. Share the video again. Okay, nice to see you. Let me try and share the window again. No, it doesn't give me an option to pull it up.
Are you on your phone or your computer?
On my computer.
Your video turned off, so I don't know if you did that on accident, but I think
it seems it's like cutting out. It sounds like because is it on now? The video? Okay. Okay, the video is working. Share my entire screen. Okay, does this work? Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay.
Nice.
Great. Can you see everything? Or the screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the great introduction, Maddie, and it's great to join this call with this great lineup of folks and to meet all of you virtually. Just to back up a little bit, I'm actually based in Vancouver, so still along the same coast and the same kind of area of water, but based out of Vancouver. I've headed up sustainability for Lush for the past 7 years here in North America, and it's been a great adventure for me so far. What I was hoping to do is just dive in first and talk a little bit about the industry that we work in, packaging and personal care. It's interesting, the last stats I looked up, the cosmetic packaging market is estimated to be around $32 million. And that's roughly 120 billion units of packaging, and a significant portion of that is actually plastics. And unlike I think other other areas where we see packaging. In cosmetics packaging, it's often small pieces, mixed materials, things that make it a lot harder at end of life. And then when you look at it from kind of an industry perspective and what companies are kind of up against when they're trying to source more sustainable packaging, a lot of it comes to kind of balancing multiple factors. So, do you work with a social enterprise in India, or do you work with a local supplier that does 100% PCR, post-consumer recycled content? So it's often a lot of times balancing various factors and trying to figure out what is best from both a social and an environmental perspective. Inputs are another challenge. Oftentimes, when you look at finding the right material, it's about competition. It's about getting access to that material. It's about often the price of oil that influences the markets when it comes to recycled content as well. So that's something that's also kind of a challenge that many companies are up against. And then end of life. I think this is something that we all know. Different municipalities, for us where our shops are, different malls have different recycling programs that all accept different types of materials, and the material recovery facilities each process materials in different ways. So there's that challenge at the end of life as well, and being able to connect the supply chain to get those recycled materials back into new products. So from an industry perspective, those are some of the things that we face. What does this mean for a company like Lush? I think if we were, I don't even know how to use Zoom well enough, I would do a show of hands to get an idea. If we were in a room together of how many people are familiar with Lush and kind of our beginnings. But for those of you who don't know, we started in 1995 in Poole in the UK, and it was and still is a family-owned and operated business. And Mark and Mo Constantine were the founders of the company, and really at that time, they were quite frugal and just starting up the business, and a lot of the products they made were out of upcycled drain pipes and lunch pails, where they would pour soap in and use those as molds, and then take them out and cut them up, and that's where you kind of get the initial kind of inspiration behind our products. And that kind of philosophy is what really continues to drive us today. And I think it's unique because it is kind of where our roots started. Another thing I think that is quite unique with Lush is that we are vertically integrated. So a lot of companies are either just retailers who are selling the products but don't have any say into the product innovation or invention, or they're just manufacturing the product and they don't have any touch base with the customers. And we're different in that sense because we, invent our own products. We source our own materials. We actually grow some of our own materials on some of our farms. We have our own manufacturing and distribution facilities, so we can see how that's actually made and influence that process. We own our own retail shops. And then we have our own kind of brand and communications team. So we kind of have that opportunity to really embed that zero waste philosophy throughout our entire value chain. So some of our products that I mentioned are package-free products, which we call our naked products, which were, like I said, but from the inception, kind of heart of who we are as a business. But really over the past few years, I think a lot of it is because of some of the changing dialogue that we've had as a society. We've really looked at how can we push towards more naked products. And that took time from our product inventors to relook at our product formulations and say, how can we pull out the water out of these products so that they're in solid form, so that they don't require packaging around the products themselves. So shampoo bars have been kind of our long loved favorite, but we've also moved into shower gels, body lotions, face serums, and toothpastes now that we all have in solid form. One fun stat that we have is around our shampoo bars. Since 2005, we've sold over 41 million shampoo bars. So a lot of times when you go as a customer, you don't necessarily think about the larger impact you have as a customer base or as a society, but we decided how can we look at that for our Lush customers, and that from 2005 was 124 million plastic bottles, or the equivalent of about 3,400 tons of plastic, which is about the weight of 30 blue whales. So if you think about it, it's all these kind of small behaviors that each of us can kind of take on as individuals, and us as business help to support, that can have that kind of larger impact. I thought this was just fun to run through kind of the evolution of our timeline. So we started with naked products. In the early years, we moved really quickly in committing to 100% recycled paper and 100% post-consumer recycled content. So not just post-industrial, not just the stuff that's cut off on the ends of plastic, but stuff that actually customers return and then is processed into new plastics. We've been doing that for over 10 years already. So those are early days. We looked at plant-based starches, like our foam, little peanuts that go into our packaging, and that's actually made with a plant starch. We really promoted reusable gift wrap and not wraps, which really the inspiration came from Japan, and traditions around giving gifts and reusable wrapping. We reduced the thickness of our bottles, so just by that transition alone saved significant amount in terms of plastic usage. And then in 2015, we started our whole black pot recycling program, but transitioning that into a whole circular program within North America. So the black pot program had been happening for quite a few years already. But we said, how do we do it so that we're not still sourcing recycled content plastic from Asia? And since 2015, we found partners in both Vancouver and in Toronto, where our factories are, both within a couple hours of our factory, where we take back our black pots and turn them into new ones. 2017 we did this big push for expanding our naked product line. And then in 2018 was when we launched our first naked shops. So there are about 5 of them. They were launched through different geographies, Germany, the UK, Hong Kong. And it was really interesting to see, like, how do you actually sell a product without the packaging that normally has the information on ingredients or raw materials, or how to use all that information, and developed an app where you could kind of scan the bath bomb, and it would pull up videos and information in a more interactive form. Unfortunately, the naked shops are going to be closing. I think the positive that we saw out of it was that we were able to kind of test this concept and be able to really push the product innovation, which was really what we were looking to do. And now it's like, how do we take these naked products and put them in all of our shops? Quickly on our Black Pot Return program, the way it works is customers are encouraged to return 5 black pots, and we give out a free face mask in exchange, and that allows us to collect all these black pots back to our facilities. We have about a 17% return rate from customers now, and that allows us so that each new black pot is made with 10% recycled content from old black pots, and then the other 90% is still made from post-consumer recycled content. So that's something where we've really challenge ourselves and challenge the industry to say, how can we really foster this idea around recycling and be the buyers on the back end, and then encourage our customers to be a part of that process. Talking a little bit about what we do internally, I think it's interesting as a business because we have both retail and manufacturing. And on the retail side, we haven't really looked, it's really hard to get an idea of what waste diversion is in the retail shops because they're all spread across North America for us. So we have been doing a campaign called Weigh the Waste, where for a week every year we have our shops actually weigh all of the materials, and we are able to see kind of what a full breakdown is of what goes into our trash in the shops. And over the past 3 years, we've improved our waste diversion by 10% just by really focusing on what we could do and finding unique composting partners within each of our communities. On the manufacturing side, we do a similar thing. We do a waste audit. We do a competition every year to get the staff involved. And then we do an audit where we actually dig through all of our bins and get an idea of what the streams are, and figure out where we have opportunities to reduce materials or find other ways to divert them. We've had some interesting challenges with the National Sword Policy, also known as the China ban, and how that really has changed the recycling industry as a whole, and if are trying to figure out how do we make sure that we really maintain clear transparency for us on where our materials end up through their end of life. Another thing that I think is interesting that we've started to explore more recently is, for those of you who are in the sustainability field, there's a lot of talk around circularity and programs with customers around closing the loop. And we said, great, we have a Black Pot program, but how can we actually take that and look upstream with our own suppliers and reduce the amount of materials that we have coming into our factories? So we did a survey, and we really just started these conversations with suppliers to get rid of packaging that they don't need to send us, re-looking at pack sizes, and then also looking at opportunities to reuse boxes and other things. So we have a really neat box reuse program with our black pot supplier where we can reuse boxes at least 5 to 6 times. And I've seen quite significant savings on just cardboard use from that. So again, yeah, how do we continue as a business to challenge ourselves on what we do? And then another thing that we do, again, talking kind of operationally, but engaging our customers. So we can do a lot of great work on our sourcing, in our manufacturing, in our retail shops, but how do we have a greater impact and really engage customers in that? So I think being able to be a retailer allows us the opportunity to have some fun times with customers around ethical campaigns to really highlight issues that matter to us, and then pull in our charity partners to really speak to those issues. So we did 2 naked campaigns around packaging and packaging free, and really raising awareness around excess packaging and how do we inspire customers to change their behaviors. So just to kind of wrap it up, for us, really, it's been an evolution, and it is continuing to be an evolution. You know, it's around how do we work on the scale from degeneration to regeneration. And in the past, I think, you know, we've made some great improvements, and we are continuing to kind of push from a product innovation side. And it's like, what is that next? What does it look like? UK's done some stuff around kind of carbon neutral packaging and looking at cork to be able to sequester more carbon from that, you know, growing of the tree. So it's like, how do we actually transition ourselves as a business across this continuum? And one thing that we talk a lot about in final closing is around kind of what role we play within the ecosystem. Our vision at Lush and from the founders really is around leading a cosmetic revolution to save the planet. And Mark Constantine, our founder's son, had a really great talk around keystone species and the role that they play within a larger ecosystem, and likening that to kind of our role at Lush, because within the cosmetic industry, we're really small. But what is our role, and how can we be a catalyst for change to have a more positive ripple effect across the greater industry, whether that's proving that, you know, naked products are possible and trying to change customers' behaviors around that and changing bathroom routines across the world, whether that's shaking up the supply chain, whether it's providing inspiration for other companies. I think we're trying to figure out how do we as a business try and push the envelope to help inspire others and have that positive ripple effect. So that is a very kind of quick summary of Lush in a nutshell. Maddie, should I pause here for questions, or do we want to move on, or what's the best?
Yeah, we can give it a quick second to see if anyone wants to ask anything. Looking in the chat, mainly just compliments and loving the naked campaign. I thought,
awesome.
I hadn't even thought about labeling naked products, which that's really cool. You guys kind of developed a scanning system, because that's definitely an added challenge to already having to figure out how to remove all the water.
Exactly, yeah. It's definitely been a learning process. Even when we send digital orders, it's like, how do we actually let customers know what's, you know, legally, like what's in their products, what are the ingredients, all that important information.
Yeah. All right, so we've got a question from Cindy. Where can we buy Lush products?
Oh, well, you can buy in your local shop, depending on which, where you're located, and also online. So lush.ca, definitely you can buy there. Our shops are in various stages of opening, obviously with COVID, but we have more and more shops open in one way or the other, whether it's, you know, curbside pickup or, you know, buy online, pick up in store. So there's definitely a lot of different options.
Awesome. And then another question from Natalie. How do you control recycling practices across the US? I know that some places are stricter or more lenient than others.
Yeah, that's definitely been the challenge, I think, for us. What we I'm guessing that this question might be around kind of our retail shops and their recycling practices. If that's it, we've really tried to work with mall management and tried to figure out how we can petition malls to start recycling programs or start campaigns and partner with other retailers and malls to push it that way. From a customer perspective, like what you do with your own shop recycling, I think that's been definitely more challenging. It's been being part of more of the industry groups and trying to raise awareness around some of the issues that are really kind of systemic just within the waste industry. Like it's when, as you start to go into it, and if anyone ever has an opportunity to visit a material recycling facility, a MRF, it's really just interesting to see the technology, but also the gaps in it and how far we have as a waste and recycling management industry to improve, for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned in your slides the national sword policy, which is like completely, at least for I'm sure your retailers in the United States, we sent like I think 60% of our recycled plastics to China up until that point, and it's just cut it down so much and left us trying to figure out kind of how to handle it ourselves. So that's awesome that you guys kind of found your own recyclers for your Black Pot program, because I feel like a lot of stuff we really just rely on export, but now we really need to figure out how to handle it ourselves.
Yeah, and I think that's something we learned on the manufacturing side, is that we can't just assume that our recyclers know what they're doing. We have 14 different streams in manufacturing, and we make sure we know where each of those streams go, because it was just getting all mixed together. It would come back as recycled, but we didn't know what that actually meant. And then the other thing that we focused on, which is an opportunity I think for people in general at home, is around composting. So we improved composting. We had 11% of our shops that composted, and we got that to about 50% of shops that composting, doing a huge push, finding small community partners, organizations run by vets or people on bicycles or community gardens that would take organic waste from our shops. Because as we did our waste audit, we were like, oh, there's a significant amount of material that doesn't need to go to landfill, that can actually go to like a garden or somewhere else.
Well, speaking of composting, quick plug, we're doing a composting workshop next Tuesday.
Nice. Perfect.
Awesome. Well, I think that was most of the questions. So yeah, we're pretty good on schedule. If we want to switch to hearing from Megan about making our own products at home to avoid having to purchase things either packaged in plastic, so we can save the planet and our wallet by making it ourselves.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so impressed by Lush. I've had some Lush products in the past, because I remember a girlfriend of mine was obsessed. She used to work at Lush in Hawaii. And I am fresh out of Lush products, and I need to get myself some, because I'm really impressed. And I think something, what popped in my head was to maybe you guys can start a mentor program for other companies that want to follow suit, of how to teach them, because that's also ripple effect.
Totally. We actually have a few similar values aligned companies that we talk to, and I feel like we talk among our same circles, but you're right, we should probably branch out to the not so values aligned ones and get them on board too.
Yeah. I'm thinking of my own company right now. So with Doterra essential oils, we do have things that come in plastics, but you can choose to use those already pre-made products, or you can get creative and make your own. So that's what my presentation is all about, DIY with essential oils. I'm Megan Newmans. Thank you so much for having me here. I think this is an incredible space to come and talk with like-minded people, and there should be more and more of these workshops with greater numbers. So let's keep spreading this knowledge. But I've been working as a wellness advocate for 4 years with Doterra. And how I came into the oils was through my own journey in my health. And I was studying to become a health coach. And it was a very pivotal time where one of our homework assignments one week, we were working on toxicity in the home, was to look at our products, to read the labels as if they were our food labels. And if there are ingredients that we couldn't name, or they were chemicals, harmful chemicals, why are we using them on our body and in our home? Because our skin is our largest organ, and whatever we put on our skin is absorbed into our bloodstream, and different chemicals can really affect us on the cellular level, affecting our endocrine system and so much more. So if we can choose, what we're using and be educated on working with plants, essential oils as natural options for replacing your medicine cabinet, for your cleaning products, and making your own body care products. So that is how I came to the oils, and it was my passion from the start. It was like, wow. At the time, I was already a personal trainer, yoga instructor, really into food and nutrition and culinary, and the green living, the toxicity was the last step to working at, actually living a holistic lifestyle. So I said, if I'm going to be teaching other people, how to live a holistic lifestyle, I needed to make the change for myself first. And I went all in. I try to make as much as I can myself, but we do have, some products. The shampoo conditioner Doterra, it doesn't come in glass. So like, I'm really intrigued by the naked hair care from Lush. But anyway, the goal of this is to really empower you to consume less plastic and try these at-home DIYs. So I do teach essential oil education classes, a 101 education classes where we really go in depth about, the 3 cool things about oils, 3 ways to use oils, and much more. Those classes are usually an hour. So I'm going to try to fast track you with a little 101 education. But if you want to dive deeper, I just encourage you to reach out to me and come attend one of my full length classes. But the 3 cool things: essential oils are safe. So they're safe for kids, babies, adults, elderly, pets. They're effective. So effective in the terms of working within our body. When I had mentioned you can replace your medicine cabinet, a lot of essential oils, they're essential oils are basically pure plant power, like supercharged, really potent, really strong. Doterra oils are 100% pure, and they're sourced and tested by third-party laboratories. So we know what goes in the bottle is actually true to the label. So you see it flipped over reading the that VIN number there. If you go to this website, sourcetoyou.com, you can type in your batch number of your oil, and you can see a full laboratory report that oil has gone through the testing process. So we know it's safe to take internally to be used as medicine. Safety tip: I don't advise you taking any essential oils internally unless it were to be Doterra. Because of our standard of quality, we are the highest standard of quality in the industry. I wouldn't advise any other oils to be taken internally. Safety tip right there. And then affordable. Because these oils are so strong and potent, you'll get your starter kit of essential oils, and 1 drop goes a really long way. Like, for example, so I have a bottle right here. 1 drop of peppermint oil is equal to drinking 28 cups of peppermint tea. So that's what I'm talking about, the supercharged benefits. They're 50 to 70 times more potent than the actual herb or, part of the plant that we're using. And there's 3 ways to use essential oils. We can use them aromatically. So, you are a walking diffuser. You can put a drop in the hands, rub your hands together, close the eyes, and just breathe in. And so that's like giving yourself a little Zen time out. The molecules are so small that as we inhale, they'll reach the limbic system of the brain. So essential oils can be used on emotional level, and they can shift your state in an instant. So a lot of people are like, does that really work? Is that true? And the easy way to relate this is, think about when you go to the dentist and they put you under with laughing gas. They put this thing on your face, they ask you to count back from 10 to 1. You probably remember counting to 7, you're out. So that's how fast essential oils can work as you inhale the aromatic compounds straight to the body. And also a diffuser. So I have one in the back on the counter, but you put water in the diffuser with essential oils, and it can really purify the air. It can kill airborne bacteria and mold, which is great. I live in Miami and it's very damp there. So I'm constantly diffusing. I diffuse On Guard, which is like an immune boosting oil and very powerful antiviral, antibacterial. Second way to use oils is topically. So anything that you would, grab an ointment or lotion or whatever for. You can use tea tree oil for blemishes, frankincense on the face for anti-aging. We have a Digest Zen, which is the digestive blend. You can rub it right on your belly. If you have sore muscles, we have Deep Blue. This is like a holistic version of a Bengay or Icy Hot. So whatever, topical application, there is a natural version. So whatever you get at CVS, you can make your own with essential oils. And then last, internally. So you see this little veggie cap here, you can make your own pills. One of my friends says you can DIY drugs because we don't use pharmaceuticals. You can use your essential oils. I like to put the citrus oils in my water first thing in the morning. I love cooking with essential oils. We've got cilantro, basil, marjoram, oregano, all of the, cooking oils. And it's a really good way to add flavor to your water, to drink more fluids, because we are 70% water. We're here supporting the oceans and the water too. So we want to be kind to our bodies and kind to the ocean, because we are the ocean. So DIY, we have, this is some coconut oil, body moisturizer, coffee scrub. Let's move on. Okay, so dryer balls. If you don't know, dryer sheets are extremely toxic to the environment. So we can eliminate those synthetic fragrances and chemicals being put into the environment by using wool dryer balls. And you can add any essential oils that you like to scent your laundry. So oftentimes I'll switch it up. I love to use the lavender and the serenity for like my sheets for bedtime, because lavender is very calming. It's really great to promote restful sleep. I actually, I had lavender right here with me because yesterday I was running an errand, and as soon as I got done from the store, I sat in the car, and I don't know how, but a bee came in, and as I sat down, like stung me like in the crotch. I had like jean shorts on, and I'm like, how did it get there? And then stung me on the leg on its way out, and it was painful, and it was like itching. And so lavender is an antihistamine. So I grabbed my lavender right away. And once you get into this essential oil lifestyle, you'll understand how important it is to carry oils with you, so when you need them in the moment. Because prior to doTERRA, I had oils, but I didn't know how to use them, and they were in a drawer in my kitchen, and I never really used them, only to put them in my diffuser. I didn't realize you could do all the things with it. So yeah, I mean, you can really scent your, another great thing for, those times when you wash your laundry and then you forgot about it, you forgot to put it in the dryer, and then you end up putting it in the dryer, and then it smells later, and then you have to rewash it. If that happens, I take the tea tree oil. It's a natural deodorizer, and I pour a bunch of tea tree on the dryer balls, and it deodorizes it. It's like it didn't happen. Okay, make your own On Guard hand sanitizer. On Guard was that oil I told you I diffused to work on cleaning the air. This is a top oil for antiviral. Like as soon as this pandemic hit, they had to put limits on how many On Guards you could buy per your account, a doTERRA account per month, because it was flying off the shelves. And we've been so busy in doTERRA because we teach natural wellness, and we're at a time in the world where people are realizing, oh my gosh, my health is number one priority. I need to make a change. So we've been busy helping people utilize this natural medicine and working with a preventative approach. So when you use these essential oils on the daily, on the regular, the topical application, this absorbs into your bloodstream, and it affects you on a cellular level. So you're boosting your immune system and ultimately boosting your vitality. And that's all the rage is the immune system right now, so we can be strong and we can fight off anything that wants to attack us. So you'll take 15 to 20 drops of On Guard with 2 teaspoons of coconut oil and mix with filtered or distilled water. Another great sustainability thing I added into our home last year was a Kangen water machine. It's an ionizing medical grade Japanese water system. And it produces, I think, 7 different pH levels of water. And the 9.5 is alkaline drinking water. It's hydrogen rich, so it's really hydrating our bodies. But we have 6.0 beauty water, which is the same pH level as our skin. So anytime I'm using a product, doing a DIY with my doTERRA oils for my body, I use beauty water. And then when we get to, I'll tell you the other water we get to, the cleaner later. But yeah, you'll just use this in a spray bottle, and you can, spray your hands, spray the doorknobs, clean your phone with this, the shopping cart. at the grocery store, and really steer clear from any of that antibacterial spray that they're spraying on everything now, because most antibacterials are endocrine disruptors. So, and it also messes with your gut health, and our immune system is located within our gut. So we just had a team call today, our Doterra team, and one of our leaders is on a road trip and going to Colorado. They're doing the van life. And she said today, like, every time I stop, I carry my On Guard hand soap into the bathroom, and like, I offer it to people. And I tell them, hey, this one's like messing with your health. And so she's like spreading the love as she's traveling. But yeah, make this, carry it with you. I'm actually in Utah right now, and I had to go on the plane. And so I had my On Guard hand sanitizer, and I sanitized all like the hand things and the table, and yeah, so good. All right, next is our bug spray. Because essential oils are made from plants, and plants have natural defense mechanism in nature, they can repel bugs naturally. So we don't have to use chemical off or DEET or anything like that. So I will take 20 to 30 drops of the Terra Shield. So this is many different essential oils that are great for repelling bugs. So in doTERRA, you'll see that we have pure oils like lavender, and then we have blended oils like On Guard and Terra Shield. On Guard has a blend of like cinnamon and wild orange and clove. So basically whatever the blend is, it's going to be listed like, here's outdoor blend. It's like we've looked up all those top oils that serve one purpose and bottle it together. So you're getting like super potent dose of many different plants in one. And this stuff really works. So I use the 6.0 beauty water here, the Kangen water, and some alcohol. Now, if you don't have the Kangen water, you can use whatever water you have. But if you're interested in learning more about that too, I can help you. Definitely turned into a water advocate, and it's so amazing. I'm just so grateful for the line of work that I'm in, because I get to use nature's elements to help heal people and create healthy habits. I'm using plants and I'm using water, and it's just so warming to my heart to share this knowledge with everyone. So next would be shaving cream. You can do coconut oil, shea butter, castile soap, like a Dr. Bonner's, 10 drops of eucalyptus and lavender. So double boil the coconut oil and the shea butter, combine it and stir in large bowl, and then you can chill it so it turns more into like a cream. And then you'll start to whip it and put it in a mason jar, and then you just have that in your shower. And it's so moisturizing, and lavender is good for the skin, and eucalyptus is amazing in the shower. Sometimes I just drop eucalyptus in the shower so that as it steams up, it's like I'm in a spa. It's so nice. And then you're getting the aromatic benefits from it as well. And then next I wanted to talk about making over your medicine cabinet. So what you see listed here are almost, a really great starter kit. So these are like some of the top oils that every home should have. And this is what you can use as your go-to when you're dealing with any of these physical ailments, or, whatever you would go to CVS or your urgent care clinic for. About 80% of your needs can be tackled with essential oils first. And so we love to teach a preventative approach to medicine. And of course, there's so many advances in modern medicine, and we need both. And so it's not one versus the other, but there's a time and place for both. So if we treat our bodies well, and we are, taking care of ourselves, less likely that we will have to go get that medical care. So, we have got the oregano, which is a great antibacterial, antiviral. Use that for immune support. I'm kind of running out of time. So we're going to give you guys these slides so you can kind of take a closer look at all of these ailments and how you can use these main oils to tackle them. But we have the flute, which is frankincense, lemon, On Guard, oregano, tea tree. We put this in a veggie capsule, and you swallow it like a pill. And this is so good for anytime any sickness comes on, any itchy eyes or throat or stuffy nose, or really when you're just feeling run down. If you take this combination early on and you catch it, like I've done this many times and I've not gotten sick. So this is super powerful combo. You put this in a veggie cap like you saw earlier and just swallow it. But yeah, this will ditch the emergency. So anything that's like we can DIY on our own, I always like can think of a CVS item that you don't need anymore. You know, you're saving on the plastic and you're going natural. All right, so stress relief roller blend. Like I was mentioning, you can, inhaling the oils aromatically affects the limbic system of the brain. So adaptive oil is the calming blend. This is the blend that was created last year for mental wellness, and anything that you're dealing with across the board. I've heard so many testimonials how this blend has helped. And then we have copaiba, which is like the equivalent of a CBD oil, works in our body that way. And then balance, the grounding blend. This is a lot of like spruce and hoe wood and frankincense, so very earthy, woodsy oils. And you can think taking on the energy of these plants. So these deep rooted trees are rooted into the ground, and we can create that energy within our own body. And if you think of the wild orange oil, this is the oil of abundance. And think about a wild orange tree. It's constantly producing and giving fruit so abundantly. So I love to use wild orange in my meditations, and it's manifesting abundance in all areas. Facial toner, frankincense, lavender, melaleuca, top for the face. I mix this with beauty water, and then you can just use that as your toner after you wash your face, before you put on your moisturizer. I make a skincare thing with the oils too. And then the all-purpose cleaner, this is tea tree on guard lemon I'd make it with 2.5 pH Kangen water, which is highly acidic and completely antibacterial. So this can replace your bleach. It can replace everything in the home. Streak free for the windows. And this is that glass and window cleaner right here. It's just lemon essential oil with white vinegar in a 16-ounce spray bottle. And that will clean your mirrors. That will take any stickiness off of anything that you have. And that's all I got. So thank you. I know I went a minute or two over, but if you guys have questions, let me know.
Thank you, Megan. I'm dying to try all of these, especially shaving cream. So that's something I just stopped buying because I was like, I don't want this waste. I don't have a replacement. And I've just been using soap, but I don't love it. So I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, try that out. Even Dr. Bronner's suds up pretty good. I use that for my body wash, and I'll often just shave with that if I don't have like a jar of shaving cream that I made.
Cool. Yeah, if you guys have any questions for Megan, you can put it in the chat. I also realized my roommate's dog always plays with my dryer balls, so there was one at my feet, but I have little penguin dryer balls that are so cute. All right. Sophia's going to talk next, kind of transitioning again to taking care of our mental health on top of taking care of our body. So I'm just going to double check the chat real quick for questions, but if not, I will give it over to Sophia. And like Megan said, I'm going to compile everyone's slides into a PDF to send out. So you'll have the recipes and a lot of this information afterwards. Okay, cool. Sophia, if you want to take it away.
Awesome. So hi, everyone. My name is Sophia. I am really happy to be here. Like Maddie mentioned earlier, I am the Chef Andrew Internship Director with DFO. So basically, I just oversee a bunch of college interns helping out with education, cleanups, and other types of events. I am a college student myself and definitely consider myself an activist. I feel like I've been involved in different movements since early high school. So that's kind of what inspired me to want to bring in this topic into our self-care and wellness event, just because I think activism, and especially now with COVID-19, Black Lives Matter, all the different movements, environmental justice, all happening right now, it's very important to remember to be active and get involved, but also take care of yourself in that same respect, and just making sure we're at our very best mentally so that we can be the best for these movements. And that's just kind of what I'm going to cover. So the first thing that I kind of wanted to talk about is about burnout. So this is really relevant for people that, especially right now, given, being isolated with COVID and social distancing, and then all of these movements happening, I think burnout is very frequent, especially now, just given all of those situations. And basically, burnout happens when we expose ourselves too much to prolonged stress. And this is really common for activists, because just being in stressful situations, trying to read the news, stay up to date, but also realizing that we can't do everything ourselves individually, and that the whole world sometimes feels like it's on our shoulders. But all of this pressure can just lead to feeling hopeless and wanting to withdraw from these movements, whether like temporarily, for a day or a few, or even permanently. And this has been prevalent with like a lot of social justice related movements, so it's kind of why I wanted to bring it in. But I think to kind of just backtrack, something that really just helps prevent this is working in a collective versus being an individual in these movements, and really just trying to get involved. And again, some of the reasons that cause this is just feeling responsible for the issues of the world, and then feeling overwhelmed by the severity of these issues, and then overworking yourself to compensate for them. But Rome wasn't built in a day. We're not going to solve these issues in one lifetime. These have been long-standing, so I think that's just important to keep in mind. And also something that's kind of relevant for this is especially individuals in marginalized groups. This is very relevant because not only are they dealing with like day-to-day activism, but they're also dealing with their own nonsense of like marginalization, racism, all those problems in the world. So especially if you identify in these groups, I think this is something important to be aware of, so that you can watch out for the signs and respond adequately. So I just added this little burnout test. If you want a picture of it, you can take a screenshot, and we'll probably send it in the email as well. These are just a couple of questions that you can ask yourself and then score yourself to kind of see where you are at mentally with your activism and just day-to-day life. A lot of these questions are just like having to deal with like fatigue and stress and onsets that can just be more prevalent given burnout and that kind of situation. So I thought this was a really great quote. I got a lot of these resources from just various online resources, and then some from a little bit of my own experience, but mainly these are like data-based kind of burnout solutions. And Amnesty International, they're a really great like international nonprofit that works on a lot of social justice movements, and their Australia kind of guidebook on burnout is where a lot of this comes from, including this quote. So activism like airplane safety tips, fit your own oxygen mask before helping others. So I feel like this is kind of speaks for yourself. It's very important to take care of yourself mentally again, so that you can be at your best to help support and rally behind others. So now I kind of just want to talk about burnout like in the day-to-day and different things that you can do to identify it and then address it and kind of move forward from that. Because again, this activism for most of us is lifelong, like whether you're affected directly, or you see other groups that are in your life and you want to support them. It's really important, again, to identify this so that you can consistently be there for these groups. So some of the symptoms include exhaustion, cynicism, and inefficacy. And these can look different from feeling emotionally drained to having negative associations with the work that you're doing, and doubting your self-worth and not feeling like any type of activism that you partake in is enough. So that's some of the symptoms of burnout, and just something to keep in mind to help realize that in yourself and identify it in others, and to kind of just take a step back and figure out why you're feeling that way if you are, and adding in these different kind of like thoughts that can help support just you as the individual. So something else that I think is really helpful is to take a daily assessment and just identify and distinguish between stresses and anxieties that you can control versus things that you just can't control. It's kind of like making a small map out in your head about all the actions you can take to address those anxieties too, whether they're big or small, whether it's taking a pause, taking a bubble bath, or just taking the time out of your day, again, to do those things for yourself, commit to self-care, but make sure that it's like lifelong. And that includes a lot of different aspects. So it can be, again, big or small actions to both address your mental state and also your activism goals. So if you want to phone bank, if you want to do that, tackle on those big or small tasks every day, just in whatever doses you can manage. And then I think the next kind of tip is about resiliency. So just treating everyday problems instead of a problem as like an opportunity to learn. I think kind of the three main focus areas are learning, balancing, and finding that support and being that support. So when it comes time to learning, like don't take backtracks or things you hear in the news so personally if like you have that option to kind of step out of it, like just to realize like what you can do actually to kind of combat the activism, whether it's like sharing that information with family, sharing it on social media, doing those little things, but also just taking time to take care of yourself and step out, don't get into those cycles if they do more harm than good, at least in that time for you. And then balance. So this is more in terms of like, if you are partaking in activism, if you are phone banking, volunteering your time, doing events and just trying to like take on a lot, just making sure you have good balance between things that you just need to do for yourself. So like sleeping, eating, exercise is good as well. And then things that are for those other goals. And also just like work, personal life, just making sure that is all balanced and just checking in with yourself about that. And then support, you can ask yourself questions like, do you have other people in your life that you can talk to about what's going on? Do you feel comfortable with them? Can you provide that same resource for them as well? So just trying to figure out that kind of like builds out resiliency. And again, in that Amnesty International document, they go through this a little bit more thoroughly if you'd like to see more information. So kind of what I touched on earlier, seeking out groups really helps, especially in time of COVID, social distancing, combating isolation in your activism is a great point. I think, again, a lot of times we feel like all these problems are so heavy and we take them on so personally, but a lot of times there are big groups of people that are also worried about the same things, that are also facing the same situations. So kind of seeking out either nonprofits or volunteering efforts that you can at least like virtually be in a group of people and share some responsibility. I think that's also just more helpful if there are those days where maybe your anxiety or your stress is just kind of at a higher point. So you can be able to step back on those days and, lean into your community and they can step forward and help out as well. And then this is something that I, again, touched on a little bit earlier, but action hours, be on social media, be informed, but don't let that take up too much of your time in activism and preventing yourself from doing the things that just you need for yourself. So even just if you are a planner, like scheduling out maybe like an hour, 2 hours in social media, maybe more than that, of your day or of your week to allow yourself to just like sign petitions, be online, do that kind of stuff. And then when it's time to shut off your phone, try to follow through and do that. So another kind of like strategy to think about when trying to combat, anxiety and these feelings, again, I'm definitely not a professional in this. This is just like personal things that have worked and have resources in regard to activism and just self-care. But another thing that you can do is create a wellness plan or your self-care plan. And basically this can look however you want it to. Does not have to be like a physical document that you write out all these things into. It could be just thinking about these certain areas of your life and making sure that there's balance and you're addressing them. So kind of like your basics, like physical needs, diet, sleep, exercise, what I mentioned earlier, psychological, relaxation, hobbies, like meditation would be a good one, which we'll be doing a little bit later. Thinking about the relationships with your family, friends, how you can make those stronger and just lean into that support. Thinking about your work. And a good thing about your work and your activism is that a lot of times you can align them. So whether that be, this kind of supports like long-term activism by lining up what you are already doing for your career with different ways you can help out. So kind of like this event, like we're all kind of working in these fields and, willing to spend the time and talk about these issues, and that lines up as well. So just different things to address as well. It's in that same PDF. So if you'd like to access that, it's there. But the main kind of point to take away is just making sure you have the balance in order to do all these things and, be realistic about it. If there's way too much on this document or in your mind about all these different areas, maybe figuring out where you can cut back and where you can just apply more time and invest more time in. And then I just love this quote by Audre Lorde, lifelong activist, and she just says, like, caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. So I just think this is like really impactful, again, during this time. Celebrate the small victories for yourself and to just realize when you are at your best mentally, physically, emotionally, that allows you to be at your best for others and for entire movements, not just individuals. So that's kind of the main takeaway. And I have some additional resources. There are like some webinars, crisis lines, support groups, and where I've kind of drawn out a lot of this information from. So this will be sent as well. But that's all I have. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer.
Thank you, Sophia. That was awesome. A lot of great tips.
Now I'm learning so much. Like, this has been research and experience, but mainly research and just learning. So happy to share.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say how it can be harder during COVID with social isolation, and that definitely is the case in so many aspects of this. But then also, I know with me personally, like I've been able to do so many more things, like work on my diet, work on my exercise, and have more time to dedicate to myself that I never really did before, which I'm glad we're having this workshop during these times too, so it can inspire people to make some of these other changes too.
Definitely. And it's all just baby steps, learning, there's so much that we can do right now that we couldn't have done before. So you have to see it all the ways.
Awesome. I don't see any questions right now. If anything comes up, again, feel free to put it in the chat or you can email us afterwards. But with that being said, I'd like to introduce Julianne, who's going to lead our closing meditation.
Okay. Hi. My name is Julianne, and I am so happy to be here. So thank you, Maddie, for having me a part of this. And before we sort of take a seat together, I just want to talk a little bit about meditation. A lot of you guys might already have a practice in place, and some of you may not. And the beautiful part of this practice is that it will meet you wherever you are, as it always does. Where I see meditation weaving in is that it's in essence what we've been talking about all night, right? It's like this awareness of choice. So it, starts in things like switching over to non-toxic products and switching over to essential oils, right? It's a choice that we make when we're aware of the toxic items that are in our household, right? Or it's in acknowledging to stay active socially, I'm gonna have to take care of myself first. And so there's this like awareness of, oh, I'm feeling burnt out, I've gotta do something so that I can play a bigger role in the collective. And And then it's our awareness of our role in the collective too. I think Katrina touched on it at the start. It's like the simple shift of switching to the shampoo bar and that saving 30 blue whale pounds of plastic. So it's this reminder that it's twofold. There's the awareness of like what our environment is or what the situation is, and then this sort of conscious choosing for something else, and then the ripple effect and what that looks like beyond ourselves. And so really like our relationship to, I think, everything around us and from environment to community is always going to stem from our relationship to self. So a lot of us will associate meditation as a practice for, finding peace and stillness and calm, and that's all true. And I think a lot of the practice of meditation really is learning to observe ourselves in the turbulence of living. It's like to be able to sit with ourselves in the mucky shit. And then like that has to come first. It's like the acknowledgement of, oh, this is my current environment, or this is my automatic programming or response system, right? It's like the same thing. My entire life I've been using this kind of shampoo. I didn't know better until, oh God, I've been using this shampoo that has toxic ingredients and it's made of plastic on the outside. So it's like all of a sudden there's a waking up, and then in that space there's a little bit of a pause where you get to step into choice. Do I stay with the old patterning of my conditioning, or do I choose something new? And that's where I think that like the gift of meditation is most potent, in that little pause where we like live in that pocket of space where we get to be in observance of, oh, this is the way I want to respond, my knee-jerk reaction. This is the way I've been programmed to respond, or this is the narrative and story that I've heard my entire life and it's the only thing I know. Okay, is there something else that I can choose? And so I believe that meditation is best experienced in practice. So we'll jump right into it. Go ahead and set up your seat. And so if you're on a chair, you can stay on a chair. If you're on the ground, take a moment to create any support that you might need. So that might look like if you have a block, or if you have cushions or pillows, to place that underneath your sitting bones. And then your sitting position is really up to you. You can sit cross-legged or on the tops of your shins, or with your feet firmly planted on the ground if you're in a chair. And then go ahead and take a big roll of your shoulders up towards the ears, and then you'll gently draw them down the back body. And allow your hands to land wherever they feel really most comfortable. And then go ahead and close your eyes. And so allow the body to land in a really comfortable stillness. And if at this time there are any adjustments you need to make, take this time to consciously choose to shift and create a seat that can be sustained for the entirety of this practice. And then allow yourself to arrive fully in your space. Notice the temperature of the room and how it feels against your skin. Notice any sounds. It might be just like the hum of your room, or it might be external noise in the distance. But pick up any details in sound. Notice any smells present. Maybe you have a diffuser with some Doterra. blessing your space. Or maybe it's the aroma of something cooking in the kitchen. And so simply notice what's there without any attachment to what it is. And now start to take your awareness from the external to the internal. And specifically to your physical body. Ground your pelvis by allowing the sitting bones to get heavy where they are. And see if you can let the skin at your hip creases melt. And from this foundation, lengthen your spine just a bit more. You'll create as much verticality as you can through the crown of your head. And there will be a sense of holding your spine tall throughout the practice. And as you maintain this subtle work of keeping the spinal column upright, soften everything that surrounds it so you find a sweet balance between effort and ease. Relax all of the muscles in your face. Soften the hollows of your cheeks and unclench your jaw. Relax the skin behind your neck and at the tops of your traps. Allow your shoulder blades to glide down the back body. And let your belly be soft. And if you start to notice any sort of agitations of the body or any temptations to fidget, any itches that need to be scratched or hairs that need to be moved, create a pause. Maintain your stillness. So there's this pause between stimulus and response. And then maybe it's in this space of pause you get to observe like the sort of urgency to move or to fidget. And then choose to stay in stillness. And now turn your awareness to your breath. Watch the breath as it is, so no need to change anything about it. Focus on its natural rhythm and its natural sound. And it should feel effortless. And then observe every incoming and outgoing breath as it moves in and out of your nostrils. And if you start to notice the mind wandering and thoughts pulling your attention away, let those thoughts kindly drift on like waves at the top of the ocean. And in this space of awareness, of noticing thoughts, make the conscious choice to shift your focus back to your breath. Come back to the feeling of your inhale and your exhale. And create inner stability through the focus of your mind on your breath. And so in a lot of ways, this practice is to notice when we enter into spaces of discomfort, or to notice when our stories and narratives and thoughts come into play. And to strategically create pause in these spaces of awareness to start to reprogram our way of being. And then we get to reprogram our role in the bigger system that we're all a part of. And through this practice, we work to create a pause long enough in this space of observance to shift from being at the effect of our lives to being at the cause of our lives. To ultimately empower our choices and our ripples out into the world. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Open up your mouth. Take a big exhale out. And again, deep inhale through the nose. Audible sigh out. Last one, fill up with breath. Exhale, let it go. Gently draw your palms together to touch. And gently tip your chin towards your chest, bowing intellect to heart. And then raise your hands from your heart up to your third eye. And we'll seal our practice and our time together by sharing the word namaste. Okay, thank you again for having me a part of this, Maddie, and thank you everyone for being here and for taking a couple minutes to sit. Yeah, and I'm open for any questions as well if anyone's got them.
Thank you, Julianne. Amazing as always.
Thank you.
And thank you to all our panelists who took the time to be a part of this. Katrina, Megan, Sophia, and Julianne, and all our participants. This is awesome. I learned a lot. I hope you guys feel like you have more tools to take care of yourself, take care of the planet, and really use these tools right now and also moving forward. That was awesome. All right, I'm just gonna go unlive on Facebook. Thank you, anyone who tuned in from Facebook. I just realized they're just watching us meditate. I had to tune that out. Thank you, guys.